Hello everyone and welcome to this grade 5 theory quiz, our first grade 5 theory quiz for this week. So I hope you're having a good week and you've been enjoying the live rehearsals, seeing Mr. Cook. And yeah, well, we'll get straight to the quiz. So this is question number 1. We've got a key signature here. What two keys use this key signature? What two keys use this key signature?
Question number 2. So get a pencil out and draw some manuscript paper, just a little bit, and draw a tenor clef. So you'll need the 5 staves to be able to do this.
Question number 3. In the key of B major, what notes are in chord 2? And I've given you the 2 Roman numerals, either uppercase or lowercase. Technically speaking, we should write it as lowercase, because in a major key, chord 2 is minor. But that's a small point. If you just want to write normal Roman numeral 2, then that's fine. But what notes feature in that chord?
Question number 4. How do we change a root position triad into a first inversion triad? So we just want you to move one note from that chord to make it into a first inversion.
Question number 5, there's a lot of choice here. We just want you to name one transposing instrument, any transposing instrument. And if you're feeling really fancy, then you can say what key that instrument is in. So da-da-da-da, in, da-da-da-da. But if you just name the basic, general type of instrument, then that's also fine.
Question number 6. What is the tone or semitone pattern to generate a major scale? So it's going to be a combination of tones and semitones all the way up to the top. So we don't need to write out a scale, just kind of do the order of the tones and semitones.
So question number 7, we've got a harmonic interval here. What is it? So think carefully about the clef, think carefully about the accidentals, and think carefully about how we count intervals. It's all the stuff from earlier grades. So we're just extending that to new intervals and new types of intervals. So what's the interval here?
Question 8. What is the progression from chord 5 to chord 1 called? So when we go from chord 5 to chord 1, there's a certain phrase we can use to describe that movement.
Question number 9, this is a sort of conceptual question. What do we mean by the term harmonization? What does harmonization mean? What is the process of harmonization? So, I mean, this could be a very in-depth answer, but we only want something very simple.
Question number 10. Which minor key has this key signature? So count your sharps, work out the major, and then find the relative minor.
Question number 11. Draw an acciaccatura. Some people pronounce this word acciaccatura,
Right.
which is better phonetically speaking because you hear all the syllables. But I pronounce it acciaccatura because I think it sounds better. But Miss Morgan doesn't agree with me, but it's a good thing I'm reading this question. This question, just draw, what does it look like? You don't even have to draw the note that it would be next to, just the acciaccatura in isolation. What does it look like? Is there a problem, Miss Morgan?
No.
No. It just disappointed you didn't get to read this question.
Actually.
Oh, I'm sorry. I rigged the whole thing. Anyway.
Question 12. Draw an appoggiatura. No alternative pronunciations here, it's appoggiatura. So it might look very similar to the previous question.
Question number 13. True or false? It is possible to have a diminished third. Is it possible to have a diminished third?
Question 14. Another true or false? Is it possible to have an augmented seventh?
And the last question, question number 15. Name one instrument from each of the following orchestral families. So we've got 4 orchestral families there: brass, percussion, woodwind, and strings. All you need to do is name one instrument from each of them. So let's go through the answers straight away. Yeah, no messing about. Here we go. So the first question, what 2 keys use this key signature? So it's 5 flats. So it's D flat major and B flat minor. And obviously it's because those 2 notes are a minor third apart, which is why they're relatives of each other. So you can remember one of them and then work out the other if you need it, or you can just associate both of those names with 5 flats.
Question 2, draw a tenor clef. Well, it looks like this. So it's like an alto clef, but another line up. So middle C is on the second line down.
Question number 3, it was chord 2 in the key of B major. The notes are C sharp, E, and G sharp, which would give us a chord of C sharp minor. Because remember, in a major key, the diatonic chord number 2 is always minor. So well done if you got that.
Question 4, how do we change a root position triad into a first inversion? Well, we take that bottom bass note and move it up an octave. So the root goes to the top, which meaning that's the second note in the chords at the bottom.
So question number 5, one transposing instrument. There are lots of things you could say here. I just gave you one, for example. So clarinet, we can have clarinet in B flat, clarinet in A. Miss Morgan, are there any other transposing instruments?
Clarinet in E flat, that's a very small one. And we've got horns, like horns in F, and the trumpet, which are not in B flat.
So yeah, lots of options here.
So question 6, the tone semitone pattern for a major scale is tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. I'll be honest, you just have to it's easy to imagine a scale and write them down as you see them on the piano, rather than remembering that.
So question number 7, it's the interval here. Well, remember the bottom note we always count as 1. So we just count the number of, we go line space, line space, line space. So here that would be 6. And then we think about what it would be diatonically in the major key of the bottom notes. And we compare it in relation to that. So it's an augmented 6th. Don't try and be fancy and convert enharmonics. It's not the same. It's not the same interval as a C and a B flat. It's really, really important that you understand that actually intervals are a very sort of notational concept. Yeah, they're to do with how we write notes down. And so although an augmented 6th would sound the same as the minor 7th, that would be the interval between a C and a B flat, written down, they are different. So just be really rigorous about that. That probably sounded a bit like a rant, but it's quite important. So just thought I'd stress that.
Question number 8, the progression from chord 5 to 1 is a perfect cadence. So it happens at the end of a phrase and the end of a piece. Normally we'll have big, grand, perfect cadence that goes, this is the end. So it's a good one to know.
So question number 9, what do we mean by the term harmonization? In very basic terms, it is the process of adding chords to a melody. So say we've got a melody sitting on its own, harmonizing that melody, would mean that we're adding chords that fit with that melody. And there's always a little bit of scope with harmonization. We can harmonize a melody in a happy way, in a sad way, in an ambiguous way. But yeah, that is what harmonization is. And that is one of the things you have to do at grade 5. So important.
Question number 10, which minor key has this key signature? Well, it is a B major key signature, so the relative minor is G sharp minor.
Question 11, draw an acciaccatura. It looks like this, or at least it looks like the small note next to that crotchet. So it's kind of like a quaver and it has a sort of strike through. So that is what an acciaccatura or acciaccatura, that's also correct. You're allowed to say it like that if you want, Miss Morgan. That's what it looks like.
Question 12, drawn a podgechora. It looks like this. So it's just like an acciaccatura, but without the slash through it. And it can be any little note, like a quaver or crotchet or anything. It just means it sounds slightly different.
So question number 13, is it possible to have a diminished third? It is possible to have a diminished third. Remember, with intervals like thirds and seconds and sixths and sevenths, we can have major, minor, augmented, and diminished. So whereas perfect intervals can only be perfect, augmented, or diminished. But you can see that the common feature between both of those is augmented and diminished.
So question 14, is it possible to have an augmented seventh? Well, yes, it is, in the same kind of vein. So an augmented seventh will sound like an octave, fun fact, but it'll be written as an augmented seventh.
Good, and then the last question, it was one instrument from each of the following orchestral families. So there's plenty of things you can put here. And on the screen are just some of the things that you could answer. So brass, you could have things like trumpet, trombone, horn, tuba, percussion, timpani, triangle, glockenspiel, tam-tam, woodwind, flute, oboe, clarinet, bassoon, cor anglais, piccolo, strings, violin, viola, cello, double bass. So well done. I'm sure you got them there. So that's the end of the quiz. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope it's been helpful. If you've got any questions about this quiz or any requests for future stuff you'd like to see from us that would help your theory, then do feel free to get in contact with us on Teams. And you can also get an adult to send us an email at this email address. But again, thank you for watching. Hope you've enjoyed that, and we'll see you soon.